Good morning, everybody. How you doing today? It's Russell Mills, January 27th, 2021. I want to say hello. I hope everybody's blessed today. This video is about the life and death of Larry King, legendary broadcaster that was around for a long time. He died at the age of 87 on January 23rd, 2021. I also want to say rest in peace to Kobe Bryant, because yesterday marked the anniversary of his death, which is sad, because he was born 1978, Kobe Bryant. So two legendary people, you know what I mean? But I want to say hello. I hope everybody's blessed. I'm going to read a little bit. Larry King, born Lawrence Harvey Zager. He was born November 19, 1933. And obviously he died on January 23rd, 2021. He was an American television and radio host whose awards included 2 Peabody's, an Emmy, 10 Cable Ace Awards. He hosted over 50,000 interviews. That's a lot of interviews. So King was a WNBM radio interviewer in Miami area in the 1950s and the 1960s, and gained predominance in 1978 as the host of the Larry King Show, an all-night nationwide call-in radio program heard in the Mutual Broadcasting System. This is from 1985 to 2010. He hosted the nightly interview television program Larry King Live on CNN from 2012 to 2020. He hosted Larry King Now, which aired on Hulu, Aura TV, and RT America. He hosted the Politicking with Larry King, a weekly political talk show on the same 3 channels from 2013 to 2020. He also appeared in the television series, usually playing himself. King was born in Brooklyn, New York, like I said, on November 19th, 1933. He was one of 2 children. His parents were Orthodox Jews who immigrated to the United States in the 1930s. Says King attended Lafayette High School and the public high school in Brooklyn. This is King. Father died of a heart attack when King was 9 years old. This resulted in King, his mother, and brother going to government welfare. King was greatly affected by his father's death and lost interest in schoolwork. This is after graduating high school, Larry worked to help support his mother. From an early age, he decided to work in radio broadcasting. It says a CBS staffer announced whom King met by chance suggested to go to Florida, which was growing media market with openings for inexperienced broadcasters. Says King went to Miami, and after initially setbacks, he gained his first job in radio. The manager of a small station, WAHR, now WMBM, in Miami Beach, hired him to clean up and perform miscellaneous tasks. This is when one of the station's announcers abruptly quit. King was put on the air. His first broadcast was on May 1st, 1957, working as a disc jockey from 9 a.m. to noon. He also did 2 afternoon newscasts and a sportscast. He was paid $50 a week. It says he acquired the name Larry King when the general manager claimed that Zager was too difficult to remember. So minutes before airtime, Larry chose the surname King, which he got from an advertisement in the Miami Herald for King's wholesale liquors. This is within 2 years, he legally changed his name to Larry King. This is he began to conduct interviews on mid-morning shows for WIOD at Pumpernickel's restaurant in Miami Beach. He said he would interview whoever walked in. His first interviewer was a waiter at the restaurant 2 days later. Singer Bobby Darin in Miami for a concert that evening walked into Pumpernicks. Having heard King's radio show, Darin became King's first celebrity interview guest. His King's Miami radio show brought him local attention. A few years later, in May of 1960, he hosted Miami Undercover, airing Sunday nights at 11:30 p.m. on WPST Television 10, now WPLG. On the show, he moderated debates on important local issues of the day. This is King credited his success on local television and assistance of comedian Jackie Gleason, whose national television variety shows was being taped in Miami Beach beginning in 1964. This is the show really took off because Gleason came to Miami. King said in a 1996 interview he gave when he introduced into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame, he did that show and stayed all night with me. We stayed till 5 a.m. He didn't like the set, so we broke into the general manager's office and changed the set. Gleason changed the set. He changed the lighting, became like a mentor of mine. It says during this period, WIOD gave King further exposure as a color commentator for Miami Dolphins in the National Football League during the 1970 season and most of the 1971 seasons. However, he was dismissed by both WIOD and television station WTVJ as a late-night radio host, sports commentator, as in December 20th, 1971, when he was arrested after being accused of grand larceny by a former business partner, Lewis Wolfson. Says other staffers covered the Dolphins games into their 24-3 loss to the Dallas in the Super Bowl. Says King also lost his weekly column at the Miami Beach Sun newspaper. The charges were dropped. Eventually, King was rehired by WIOD. For several years during the 1970s, he hosted sports talk shows called Sports La King that featured guests and callers. This says, starting on January 30th, 1978, King broadcasted nationally on a nightly mutual broadcaster system, Coast to Coast Broadcasting, inheriting the talk show that began with the Herb Jepko in 1975, then followed by a Long John Nebel in 1977. Until his illness and the death of following years, King's mutual show rapidly developed a devoted audience. Since the Larry King Show was broadcasted live Monday through Friday from midnight to 5:30 Eastern Time, King would have interviewed guests for the first 90 minutes, with callers asking questions that continued the interview for another 90 minutes. At 3 a.m., the Open Phone America segment begins, where he allowed callers to discuss any topics that pleased with him until the end of the program, when he expressed his own political opinions. Many stations in the Western time zone carried the Open Phone America portion of the show live, followed by the guest interviewed on a tape delay. So some of King's regular callers used, fake names or given nicknames by King. As the numbers guy, the chair, the Portland Laughter, the Miami, I forget, I don't know how the Derelict, and the Scandal Scooper. This is at the beginning of the show, relatively few affiliates through the number was eventually above 500. Says King hosted the show until stepping down in 1994. King occasionally entertained the audience by telling amusing stories from his youth or early broadcasting days. Says Larry King Live began on CNN in June of 1985. Says on the show, King hosted a broad range of guests from figures like UFO conspiracy theorists, alleged physics, prominent politicians and entertainment industry figures, often during the first or only interview on breaking news stories on his shows. Is after broadcasting the CNN show from 9 to 10 p.m., King then traveled to the studios and Mutual Broadcast System to do his own radio show when both shows still aired. It says two of the best remembered interviews involved political figures. 1992, billionaire Ross Perot announced his presidential bid on the show. In 1993, a debate between Al Gore and Perot became CNN's most watched segment until 2015. I'm not going to read all this, but, just read a little bit more. King also wrote a regular newspaper column in USA Today for almost 20 years, from shortly after the first national newspaper debut in Baltimore, Washington, in 1982 until September 2001. The column consisted of short plugs, superlatives, drop names, but was dropped when newspapers redesigned the life section. It says on June 29, 2010, King announced that 25 years he would be stepping down as the show's host. It says, however, he stated he would remain with the CNN to host occasional specials. The announcements came in the wake of speculation that CNN had approached Piers Morgan, the British television personality and journalist as King's prime replacement, which was confirmed that September. This is on February 17, 2012. CNN announced that he would no longer host specials. This is in March 2012. King co-founded Orita TV, a production company with Mexican's magnate Carlos Slim. On January 16, 2013, Orita TV celebrated the 100th episode of Larry King Now. In September 2017, King stated that he had no intentions of ever retiring and expected to host his program until he died. Says other ventures. King guest starred in episodes of Arthur, 30 Rock, Gravity Falls, had cameos in Ghostbusters and B movies. He voiced Doris, the ugly stepsister in Shrek 2 and its sequel. He also played himself on The People versus O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story, and appeared as himself as the episode Law and Order Trial by Jury. King became very active using social media site Twitter, where he posted thoughts and comment on a wide variety of subjects. King was married 8 times to 7 different women. He married high school sweetheart Freda Miller in 1952 at age 19. The union ended the following year as the best of their parents, who reportedly had their marriage annulled. He was later briefly married to Annette Kay, who gave birth to his son Larry Jr. in November 1961. King did not meet Larry Jr. until later in his 30s. Says in 1961, King married his third wife, Aline Atkins, a Playboy bunny, at one of the magazine's nightclubs. He adopted Atkins' son, Andy, in 1962. The couple divorced the following year. In 1963, he married his fourth wife, Mary Frances Mickey Suppin, who divorced him. He remarried Atkins, with whom he had a second child with in 1969. The couple divorced a second time in 1972. In 1997, Dove Brooks published a book written by King. Che, I believe, Daddy Day, Daughter Day, and their young children. It tells of its accounts of the divorce from Atkins. This is on September 25th, 1976. King married his fifth wife, mathematics teacher and production assistant Sharon Lepore. The couple divorced in 1983. So King met businesswoman Julie Alexander in 1989 and proposed to her on the couple's first date on August 1st, 1989. Alexander became King's sixth wife on October 7th, 1989, when the two were married in Washington, D.C. The couple lived in different cities, however, with Alexander in Philadelphia, King in Washington, D.C., where he worked. They separated in 1990 and divorced in 1992. He says he became engaged to actress Deneen Lund in 1995 after 5 weeks of dating, but remained unmarried. So I'll just say this. I'm not going to go into all that. Rest in peace, to you, my brother. Legend, legendary broadcaster, that's been in the game for a long time. You know what I mean? But they said, that he died at the age of 87. And I just say this is on January 2nd, 2021. It was revealed that King had been hospitalized 10 days earlier in Los Angeles hospital after testing positive for COVID-19. On January 23rd, he died at the age of 87 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. So just want to say rest in peace to Larry King and his family, and rest in peace to a legend, in broadcasting. But feel free to check out my YouTube channel. Feel free to type in my name. My name is Russell Mills, RUSSELLMILLS, May 22nd, 2017. My first video was Why Black People Settle for Less. Everybody, take care. Bye.